Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to the first live show for the Sapphic Book Club. My name is Annie of Annie's Book Nook, and today's co-host is Brooklyn from Brooklyn's Library. Brooklyn, do you want to introduce yourself and your channel?
Hey, my name is Brooklyn. Brooklyn's Library. That's me right there. um, make a lot of different content. Always open for ideas. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah, definitely go and subscribe to Brooklyn. Her link should be in the description, but if it's not, it will be. Alrighty, so this month, for January, we read briefly A Delicious Life, which was quite an interesting sapphic book. Very interesting. Did you like it? That's my first question.
Okay, yes. I read it twice because the first time I was like, I don't know really how to feel about this, but I ended up liking it the second time because it just hit different the second time. I felt like because I like understood the world more and I knew what was going to happen and everything, that I ended up liking it much better.
Okay,
What
interesting.
about you?
Yeah, I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars or 4.5 stars. So it wasn't like a perfect 5 for me, but I did really like it. I listened to it on audio. Did you
Mm-hmm.
read it physically or listen to it?
I did the audio.
Yeah. I liked the audiobook. I thought it was good. It was well done. Um, so it's kind of an interesting, for those who haven't read the book yet, it's pretty different than like any other book I've ever read. It is a historical fiction ghost story, while also being like a bit of a queer romance, of course, because it's in the Sapphic Book Club. So it was, how would you describe the plot? Um, we are following the perspective of this ghost girl who died hundreds of years earlier. And she falls in love with this woman named George, who is, what's his name? Is it, whose lover is she? Is it Mozart? No.
Chopin.
Chopin. Yeah, I'm sorry. Chopin's lover. And this ghost girl is kind of telling us about Chopin and George's life through the ghost's eyes and giving her kind of opinions about everything. And it's a very interesting method of storytelling, I think. What did you think about the ghost?
um, okay, so I really like the voice because it was giving 14-year-old child like the whole time. And I thought that some of the pranks that she played, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the pranks she played, they were like they were very young and well, of course not all of them, but most of them were very young, and I felt like that was very true to her being a 14-year-old. And it just sometimes the stuff that she was thinking and saying, it was very much giving young, and I really like that because sometimes you could tell it's an adult writing as a teenager, but like it just felt like it could have been like reading a teenager writing.
Yes. Yeah. I agree, because she died when she was 14, so she's kind of stuck in that mindset. Even though she does kind of have maturity about some things. But
Yeah.
yeah. And yes, thank you for remembering Chopin. I am not well versed in classical music at all, so if that wasn't obvious.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
I wish I was, because I feel like being familiar with at least Chopin's works kind of definitely would have enhanced my reading of this, I think. Um, Maybe. But yeah, so I thought she was a really, really interesting character, the ghost. And her story was so tragic and something that I'm sure a lot of girls of the time period went through. And it was really, really sad. So this is not like a feel-good book. It is quite sad. um, but sometimes I like that. I don't know. I like sad books sometimes. Um, yeah, so I loved George. I thought she was great. What did you think about her?
I how did I feel about George? For some reason, okay, to be honest, she was just there for me. Like, my attention was on, oh my gosh, what was her name was Blanca, the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, my attention was on her and how she was like observing everything. For George, I don't know. Like, I like that she was different and not afraid to be who she was. Like, wearing pants and smoking and being a writer at heart, and everything. So I really like that about her. But
me too. Yeah.
What did you like about her?
Yeah, I'm a very simple person. I like that she wore suits and pants at a time when women were not supposed to do that. They weren't supposed to smoke, and she was very rebellious. And I did like that, even when doing her rebellious things, and her rebellious personality kind of made life harder for her and her children, which it was a little bit conflicting, but she stayed true to herself the whole time. And I thought her and Chopin's relationship was interesting, because they weren't married at the time. That was a big no-no. So yeah, that was interesting. I remember one scene when, because Chopin was sick. I think, did he have tuberculosis? I don't think it was ever exactly mentioned exactly what it was, but it sounded like tuberculosis. He was at the doctor, and the doctor kept asking George, like, for her husband, and she kept saying, like, he's not my husband, and he kept asking for her husband because he wouldn't kind of admit that she wasn't married to him, because that was like kind of taboo. So that was interesting, from the historical aspect. Yeah.
What did I think? I guess it was tuberculosis, probably, because I remember him saying like some kind of infection. And it's funny because like right after I read it for the second time, I got sick, and I was like, oh, not some kind of infection.
Oh no.
So I felt like
Oh god.
I super related to him in that moment.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, it was interesting, and I guess pretty common at the time, tuberculosis. Pretty bleak though. I loved the moments when Blanca was watching George write. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, I really liked, like you said, like kind of the young teen or childlike love that Blanca had for George. Like, it was very much an infatuation, but she really did love her, and it was very interesting. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, me too. Dang, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
That's okay. So one scene that I remember kind of hit me, well, there were a lot of scenes that hit me hard, but one scene was when George and her son, who I forget the name of, but they were going down to the market to try and buy necessities and food and stuff. And because they were from the city and just living in this small village, they were from the city, they were outsiders, and George was considered like weird because she dressed different and she smoked and she wasn't like a proper woman, that they kept upselling the prices and increasing the prices every time she tried to get a fair price. She couldn't, which just made me so upset. It was, yeah, that hit me hard. That was an interesting scene, and I just felt really bad for her kid too, because to watch your mom do that, and yeah, it's sad.
That was really sad.
Yeah.
It's so rude.
Yeah, well, yeah, very rude.
Yeah. I did like the part where she was. Wait, are we talking spoilers or no?
Yeah, we can give a spoiler warning, and if you haven't read it, then shut your ears. But
Yeah. Put it on
yeah,
mute if you haven't read it.
yeah,
It's a mild spoiler. It's not like a plot spoiler, but when George, and I forget who she was with, she was probably with her son. This might even be the same time when they were at the market, and then she wanted to buy the squid. And then she was like, how much? And then the market was like, no, I'm not selling to you, period. And then she was like,
yeah,
okay. And then like threw the money down and ran. Yeah, I
yeah,
did like that part, but I was like,
yeah,
ooh, you're gonna
yeah.
get trouble.
Definitely a very strong woman, but also, yeah, she's very headstrong. Um, yeah, yeah. What did you think of Blanca's story before she died? Because that's kind of interspersed between George and Chopin's life with their family, and then Blanca's life kind of told in flashbacks. So what did you think about that?
I I felt like as soon as she met the guy, I was like, this is gonna happen, what ended up happening. And man, that was so sad, especially the final like where it ended up when it happened. That was really sad. um I was like, dang girl. I liked how supportive her mom was, though. How did you feel about that? About
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. It kind of was predictable. Because again, a little bit. Yeah, it's a spoiler warning. Um, yeah. So and I mean, she was only 14. She was so young, which makes it so much worse. She met this guy, and they kept meeting and meeting by the lake. When wasn't she supposed to be doing laundry or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had sex, and they kept doing that, and she got pregnant because she didn't know anything about that. They weren't educated about it. Um, and yeah, I totally agree though. Her mom's reaction to it actually really surprised me, like
Mm-hmm.
pleasantly. I was very happy that her mom was sticking up for her because, of course, the guy who gets her pregnant doesn't admit it. Um, and because he was in training to be a monk, conveniently. So he couldn't marry her, even though he had promised to. So yeah, it was very sad. That was upsetting, but her mom, at least standing up for her was nice. Especially so long ago at that time. That was good.
Yeah, that was unexpected, and I'm glad that ended up happening because of so much of the rest of the book was kind of depressing. So
Yeah,
that's a good thing that came out of it.
yeah. The book was, like I said, kind of sad. Not a feel good book by any means. um, but yeah, I mean, the only reason I chose this book is because the Buzzwordathon word for January from Books and Lala's booktube channel is life and death. And so I figured this is life, like a briefly a delicious life. So yeah, I think it fits, but yeah, it was a little bit of a downer, a little bit. Um, so how you said that at first you weren't a fan of it, but then on your second read you liked it more. How did your opinions kind of change? Like, what made you like it again?
Okay, so I thought it was gonna lean heavier on the love story between Blanca and George, and I thought there was gonna be like more pining.
Mm.
And I thought it was gonna be more focused on that, and it ended up just being like her observing them pretty much more than like leaning on, or I guess than leaning on like the love story. So I was kind of like, oh dang, like I really wanted to know about how this ghost is going to pine for this live woman. What's going to happen? Like, she has been alive for all of these years, and then like, why is she the one, but that didn't happen, and I accepted that. And so I was like, okay, let me read it again. Let me do it again. And I did, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, since I was prepared and not that not happening, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, I actually I agree with you. Because the book is kind of advertised as like the forbidden love story between a ghost dead girl and an alive woman,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really what it is, right? It's definitely one-sided, um, from the ghost girl's point of view, because George is with Chopin, and but I thought it was very sweet. Like once you take it for what it is, it was very sweet. Um, Especially all the things that Blanca tried to do to help Chopin and
Mm-hmm.
George's family and everything like that. Like you said, she did pranks sometimes, and there was one story. This wasn't about George and Chopin, but Blanca was, I think, in a flashback, and she ended up protecting another girl from an abusive husband, because she was in love with her in the past, I believe, if I'm not mixing it up. Um, yeah, so that was interesting. How she has a little bit of power in the living world, but not enough to really get what she wants, um, which was sweet, but also sad because she could never have what she wants. So
Yeah. I feel like if she was, well, I guess she wasn't alive. I was gonna say, I feel like if she was alive today, but I feel like if she was still out there, she would really enjoy some reality TV. That's just what I was gonna say.
yeah, she probably would. Yeah, she was a very interesting character, very unique. Um, do you usually read historical fiction, or is this like not your genre?
I don't really read historical fiction often, which is interesting. I'm not really a fan of it, but I was like, this one seems interesting, and it was. I don't really. Can I speak? No, I don't think so.
That's
I don't
okay.
really read historical fiction. To make a long story short, that is my answer.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I do like historical fiction, but I feel like I don't reach for it as much as I could. Because I do enjoy it, especially when there's some sprinklings of Sapphics in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was glad that I got to read a historical fiction for the first time in a while. But my usual genres are fantasy and sci-fi. So and horror. So the fact that it was from the ghost point of view kind of helped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like sometimes historical fiction can be quite dense,
Mm-hmm.
but this one was really fast, I thought. I don't think it was a fast-paced book, but it was a fast read because it was, I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was a little bit short on the shorter end, but I think it was a pretty fast-paced read. So I liked it, yeah. Um, and I'm glad I read it. What are your usual genres?
I really enjoy romance, and right now I'm in my fantasy romance era,
Ooh,
and I love a thriller, any thriller. I will read it. What else? Those are the main ones, I think. And then I really enjoy graphic novels and manga.
oh, okay, cool. Ooh, maybe I'll have a graphic novel for one of the Sapphic Book Club choices. That would be fun.
That
That would be
would
really
be,
cool.
and they're
Yeah.
so quick. You can like read them back to back and everything.
Yes, that's what I like about them. It's a little bit of a break. Yeah. Awesome. All
And I
right.
love the art and everything.
So, have you like do you know anything about Chopin or classical music at
To
all?
be honest, no, no,
No,
not like
me neither.
not that much. Like I had a phase when I was younger of like listening to classical music for some reason. I don't know why, but it really stuck with me that it was Chopin because I recognize the name. So that's
Mhm.
how I was able to remember that. And
Yes, no, that's good that you remembered that. Yeah, no, you're right. Ooh, we have a comment. On a Sunbeam, yes, is one of your favorite Sapphic graphic novels. On a
that's a good
Sunbeam
one.
is so good. It's really, really great. It's kind of a soft sci-fi, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. And it's so beautiful. It's a very quiet graphic novel, but hard hitting, let's say, and a great,
Mm-hmm.
great cast of characters. Really, really great. I highly recommend that one. Um, one of my favorites. One of my favorite artists too.
The art is
Um,
really beautiful in that one. The ships, so
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, and the like fish that swim around in space. I love that. Oh yes, yeah. We should have a Sapphic graphic novel for one of the.
We really should.
We should.
I agree
Yes.
1000%.
Thank you.
Yes.
So let's see. I am. Oh yeah, I'm interested in what you thought about this. It wasn't just a scene; it was like a whole big thing. Chopin's big problem in this book is that when they moved from the city to this village, he couldn't bring his piano, and like he
Mm-hmm.
had to have it shipped there after him. And he was like massively depressed because he didn't have his favorite piano, and the piano that was in the house didn't sound right. Yada yada yada, whatever. um, and George and her son, right? He went with her, yeah. They went to like the customs official to finally try and see about the piano, and they were coming back, and it was a massive, massive storm, and the horse and carriage that they were taking back got stuck, and like it was a horrible accident, and they had to walk home basically like on a mountain. It was insane. That was a really, really tense aspect of the book, and one of my favorite scenes. I thought it was really well done. And then when they came home, they were kind of expecting like her daughter and Chopin to be concerned because they were gone for so long, and to be happy that they were home, but the reaction really wasn't like that. um, so what did you think about that?
I was I was upset because like she did all of this for you to make sure that your piano was good to go, that it was on the way. Like you should be thanking her. Like, did you go? No, I don't think so. So what's up? What is up? No,
Yeah.
there was definitely a couple of times I wanted to throw hands at some of the characters, but
Throw hands at Chopin, yeah.
yeah, literally, like he being one of them. Like the second one, the first one was the guy with Blanca, and then the second one was him for sure. And also, George's husband wanted to throw hands with him as well because, or her like ex-husband, I guess. Did they even have
Mhm.
divorce back then? I don't know. I didn't
Oh,
know
I
when
don't know.
divorce was invented. So, but yeah, no, I didn't. No, I didn't like that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like this that was like a good scene or whatever, but his reaction and like the daughter is what I meant. I didn't like.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, because throughout the novel, I mean, you kind of see George and Chopin in kind of their honeymoon phase, and like they're very happy, and then it
Mm-hmm.
kind of starts to go downhill a little bit. And it's interesting to see like the sweet moments between them, but also the not so sweet moments. Yeah, it was interesting. I definitely was not a huge fan of Chopin in the book. He was kind of annoying. But I guess he was sick, so maybe
True.
a little
He
bit
did have
a
an
benefit of
infection.
the doubt, but he didn't need to be so cantankerous, if that's a good word for it. I don't know. But yeah. So let me see. I'm pulling up a discussion question sheet
Oh,
for the book. So let me see if there's anything else.
I have
Um,
I have a question for you that I'm
yes.
dying to know. Okay,
Yes.
so do you think the parts where George was I guess there was a part where she was looking right at Blanca, and then there was a part where Blanca was like, "A bleeding will kill him," and then she said it. Do you think that she saw her or like felt her or anything?
I loved those scenes because Blanca was trying so hard to communicate to George, and I think George did, if not see her, she at least felt something. Like, she got some sort of energy from her, or like some kind of feeling like that she needs to do a certain thing that Blanca was telling her to do. I loved those scenes. I thought it was really, really good. And it kind of was a testament to how strong Blanca's love for George was, because it could transcend life and death. I don't know. I liked that a lot. Yeah. I thought that was sweet. Yeah. So let's see. That was a good question.
Thanks.
What do you think? Do you think she could like actually see her?
I feel like maybe. Like it's very strong maybe because if she did, why didn't she react? Yeah, because I feel like if I saw a ghost, I'd be like, what? I would be so confused as to why am I seeing a ghost right now? But maybe she felt her energy.
Maybe.
Is what I'm like leaning more towards, because I feel like she would react more if she saw her.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here's a good question. So obviously a big part of this book deals with real people from history. Like Chopin and George were real people, but Blanca was not. She's fictional. So what do you think about the choice to use George and Chopin in the story? Like, do you think that was a good choice, or do you think that maybe it would have been better to just have all fictional characters and make up a completely new story for them?
I could see it both ways. I feel like since most people at least have an idea of who Chopin was, so I feel like it would be easier to recognize what that character is supposed to be. I did not know George was a real person.
Yes, she was. Yeah,
I didn't know that. But yeah, I felt like that could have been easier to realize what that character was supposed to be doing in the story. But I also could see that how it would be different if they were just made up characters. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a choice. I feel like it has the potential to kind of alienate some readers, because if you're like me and you don't love classical music, then maybe you would be less likely to read the book because it centers so much on a historical figure in classical music. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, well, like you said, it would be a totally different book if it was 100% fictional. I thought it was a really interesting mix. I think it was very ambitious to have to take the lives of real people who really lived and kind of meld it with this new story. So that was pretty ambitious. I wonder how it was to write that. Interesting. Yeah. So let me see if there's anything else I have in my notes. Okay, so this is the Sapphic Book Club. So I do want to ask about George's little tryst, if you will, with what was she, an opera singer or an actress or something?
Oh, what was she? Some kind of performer, I think.
Yeah. She was a performer, and they kind of had what would nowadays, I guess, be a situationship.
Yeah, they did have a situationship.
Yeah. And it was really interesting to see a historical figure like George be portrayed as a bisexual woman and kind of coming to terms with her bisexuality. I thought it was done really well, even though the way that well, it wasn't her partner, but the celebrity woman kind of dealt with it wasn't great, but I guess it was the reality. But yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. That was really interesting to show that maybe if Blanca was alive, they could have been something. But another missed opportunity, Yeah, because she's dead.
Yeah, she has been for a long time.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I felt like I had more to say about that, but I did, I guess. I was like, I'm trying to remember how that ended. Like, I know that let's call her an opera singer. I know that the opera singer married the man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how she broke it off with George.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly either. I think it was kind of what you might expect. I seem to remember that it was just like, well, it was fun, but we can never be together because that's just how it is at this point in time. I think it was something like that, but if anyone in the peanut gallery actually remembers, that would be good.
Someone tell us, please.
Yeah, but no, I thought that was great, and it kind of reminded me of that movie, the girl, what was it? The Portrait of a Lady on Fire, just because of the opera scene at the end. I know.
Oh man, that was so good.
Such a good movie, but it would make me cry. Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not ready to watch that ever again.
Yeah, no. Once was maybe enough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely felt George's pain there. I felt that pain. But yeah, I think again she was one of my favorite characters. I don't know about her in real life. I don't know if like her entire personality was fictionalized or if there is some evidence that she wore pants and smoked and like was maybe having relations with women. I'm not really sure. I haven't done much research on the historical person that she was based on. But it would be interesting to see like how much is really known about her life. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know.
Yeah, I kind of want to look that up. I feel like I should have done that, but
yeah, me too. I didn't even know she was real. I'm so shocked.
Yeah. She's interesting actually. Let me look her up. George. Okay, so her name was George Sand, like Sand, and she was a novelist, like in the book, and she was like super popular at the time, but not really anymore. Let's see. I'm on her Wikipedia page. Okay, so she actually did have 2 children, Maurice and Solange, which are the same kids as in the book. Interesting. Let's see. Oh yeah, she did have. They called it a romantic affair, but she was the lover of Chopin as well as the lover of many other people. Which good for her. Interesting. Oh, it's true. Sand also engaged in an intimate romantic relationship with actress Marie Dorval, who's a French actress. Wow, interesting. So it was true.
Oh wow,
that's awesome. Okay, I totally understand the inspiration for Nell Stevens writing this book now. Because if I found that out, I would be like, I need to write about this person. Because that's awesome. That's really cool. All right, interesting.
Wow.
Huh.
The more you know, man.
The more you know. Wow. All right. Yeah, I have to read more about her, but it's very good to know that she was, pretty
I'm
accurately
so mind
portrayed in
blown.
the book. Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. Huh. So, hmm, if you were a ghost like Blanca,
Yeah.
um, I think because she died in Majorca where the story takes place, but she's not actually like tethered there, if that's a good word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't have to stay there. She can go wherever she wants. So what would you do in her place? Would you kind of hang out where you were, or would you go somewhere else?
I think it depends because she was there, and I kind of agree with this. She was there to watch over her family, like her next of kin,
Yes.
like after that. And
Mm-hmm.
then spoiler warning, turn back now. And then she followed George and Chopin and the kids and them after they left. So I feel like same. Because I would want to watch over my family too. Like, what are you guys doing? Very entertaining people. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then if I found a reason to leave, I would leave. But I don't think that, I think the shock of dying and then her finding out, like, oh snap, I'm not alive anymore. What do I do? And then she decided to like do that. I feel like maybe same.
Mm.
What about
Okay.
you?
Good point. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, she did have descendants for a time. And yeah, reading about her, kind of looking at her great grandchild growing old is like, it's pretty sad. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would travel. I don't know. I'd be free to go wherever I want.
True.
So, I mean, if I also had eternity, I could do whatever. Um, yeah, I would definitely like take advantage of it. I don't know. Even though I couldn't really interact with anyone, which would be sad, but try to find the little bit of joy that's left, even as a ghost.
True,
Yeah,
you don't have to pay for airline ticket. You don't have
exactly.
to pay for Uber out of town. You can just
Yeah,
go and
no
be.
hotels, no
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb.
Exactly. You
Just
can
go
stay
wherever
wherever
your
you
heart
want.
desires.
Okay, you have a good point there,
I do,
actually.
I do. I know.
Okay, now I'm rethinking, like, when I become a ghost, maybe I should travel.
Yeah, no, I thought it was it was an interesting concept. A lot of good, meaty questions about life after death,
Oh, yeah,
which
for
I don't
sure.
know if we want to get into that, but very interesting stuff.
Let's open it up.
Okay. Well, what are your opinions? Do you think we turn into ghosts?
Oh my gosh, I feel like different things for different people. It's giving like such, that's a separate thought. So, what I think is, I feel like what you believe is what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
we don't know, but I feel like everyone does have a soul. Unless like you could tell, I don't know. That's a different conversation. Like you could tell, I guess, when people like don't have a soul. Like in my opinion, I don't know. I'm very spiritual, so
Yeah, I think you can tell. There are definitely some people I know of that most likely don't have a soul.
yeah, for real, like what's going through your brain, man? Like get it
Oh
together.
God.
But
Yeah. That's a good
like
point. A good
I
point.
feel like it's different for different people. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, like obviously we don't really know. People claim to know like what happens, but we really don't know. Um, I just think that what you believe is what happened. And like if you believe something is wrong, like you made bad choices and like you don't want to like I don't know. I'm off
I mean,
topic
it's a
now,
hard
I think.
question. It's a hard
Yeah.
question.
I'm
So
like, I don't know. I don't know what to say right now because it's a lot. I
yeah,
have like
you don't have to have all the
full
answers.
list.
It was just, it's
What
curious.
about you?
It's curious.
I'm
Um,
curious to know.
I have no idea. But I think if I believed in anything, I would like to believe in reincarnation,
Nice.
but I don't know. Honestly, I just kind of think there's nothing, which I don't want to think about because that's
Yeah.
scary.
I
So
literally can't wrap my
I'm
mind
not
around
gonna
that
think
one.
about it. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, I think reincarnation might be nice. I don't know about the whole being a ghost forever thing. I don't think I would like it at all because it's also kind of depressing in a way because you're just alone for eternity. Because even though you can watch everybody, nobody can interact with you. And you get to watch everyone be born and then die, and the next generation do the same thing. I feel like it would get depressing after a while. So there's
Yeah,
good things
for
and bad
sure.
things, pros and cons about everything.
Um,
um, yeah.
that also like reminds me of what I was thinking because I was thinking that Blanca either she knew or she felt like she had an option to not be a ghost anymore, either like go to the light or like be
Oh,
forever just non-existent anymore. I felt like she knew or at least thought about moving on because there was a couple comments, I think maybe once or twice she said something about like leaving them or doing something after that or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. So like
yeah.
I
No,
felt
I
like
remember that too.
yeah. And so one of the things I wrote down was part of me was wanting her to go into the light or, whatever, just be non existent or something after she peeked into, spoiler, she peeked into the family's future. So part of me was like, okay, she's done. Like, she doesn't have anything else, to do. She's done. She doesn't have any more kin to watch over. She knows what happens. So,
Yeah. I agree. I kind of wanted her to find peace. Because she had a hard life. So I think she deserves some peace. But yeah, I guess it was her choice. And if she didn't want to, if she wanted to stay for George, she could do that. But again, it's pros and cons. She gets to stay by George's side, but George doesn't know it. And then she gets to watch George also die, which maybe when George becomes a ghost, they can be together. I don't know.
oh my gosh, true.
I don't know. I never thought about that.
True.
Because she never meets any other ghosts. It's always just her.
Yeah, and I really thought she was going to.
Yeah, me too. So
I thought maybe.
yeah, okay. Maybe she's like the special one that gets to turn into a ghost for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm wondering if she's like not the only one, but if they can't like see each other.
Yeah, that could be. Good point. Yeah.
Need to know more.
Yes. There's a lot of layers to this book. A lot of interesting questions. Um, so, do you have anything else you'd like to discuss?
Um. Oh, you mentioned earlier that you rated it like 4-ish stars. What stopped you from giving it that 5-star rating?
Good question. Honestly, I don't know. This might make me sound like a prude, but I'm not.
It's okay. We're honest here.
But I felt like the very flowery language and like historical vibe of the book it kind of clashed a little bit with some of the kind of risque things that were being said. I don't know.
Mm.
I feel like it was done purposefully, to kind of show that, yeah, things were happening the same way that they happen now. They were happening back then. They just weren't out in the open about it. I don't know. I feel like at the time when I was reading it, which was more than a month ago, so maybe you guys can tell that I don't remember everything. But yeah, I felt like at the time, like the flowery prose and like the vibe of the book just didn't really fit with that, in my opinion. But I feel like if I did read it again, I probably would like it more, like you said. Because now that I think about it, like I'm talking about it again, I did really like it. I remember being between 4 and 5 stars and kind of being like, well, it's not like a new favorite, so I'm going to rate it 4.5 instead of 5. But I mean, the writing itself is gorgeous. The writing style deserves 5 stars. It really does. It was gorgeous, I think.
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
was. There were some things that were being described, and I really felt like I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really gorgeous. I will definitely read more from Nell Stevens. I don't know if this was their debut. Was it? Let me see.
I think it may have been their like second novel or something. I could be wrong though.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, actually, they. Yeah, they wrote a couple of other books. Okay, so that makes sense. But this is the first one I've read from them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I liked it. I would definitely read it again. And I'm glad I got to read it with you and everybody in the club.
Same. So much fun. Love being a part of a book club.
Yeah, thank you very much for being the guest host for January.
Course.
Hopefully you can be the guest host in the future again if
Literally
you would want to.
anytime.
So next month, I am hosting with Jess from Books Past Bedtime. We are reading Sorry Bro, which is a rom-com, so totally different vibe. But I know it's a really anticipated Sapphic book for a lot of people. It's an Armenian book, so I'm really excited about it. Haven't started it yet, but I will. So yeah, look out for the date and time for that live show. And definitely go follow Books Past Bedtime as well, or subscribe. And definitely subscribe to Brooklyn's library. Please. She's awesome. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you. If you don't have, do you have anything else? Any final thoughts?
There's something that I wanted to get off my chest so bad, but now I don't remember it.
Oh no.
So I'm like, I wanted to say something. Oh my gosh, what was it? You know what? If I can't remember, I can't remember. It was not that important.
Okay.
So no, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It was so much
Of course.
fun.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for coming. Thank you, all of you guys, for watching. And don't forget to join the Discord for more Sapphic shenanigans and book talks. And we'll see you soon. All right. Bye.
Bye.